Well, it's tax time again. Got them all done up right there on the seat. I got to go over to the next town over to go drop them off, so we'll figure this out. Tax time's got me a little concerned this year because, well, I made more than I did last year. I made a lot more than I did last year. Thankfully, I spent a lot more. But the price of fuel went nuts. And if you're going to sit there and, be in this business, you have to kind of figure these things out. But tax time, you always end up paying something, it seems like. But what got me thinking about doing this was a buddy of mine posted on Facebook the other day. He leased a truck. He did it for about 3.5 months and made $58,000. That's not bad for a quarter. So you're looking at 58,000 times 4. That's your entire year. You're looking at about $230,000. But yet he said it mostly all was gone and disappeared. That's what I'm going to talk about today. Where did all that money go? Now, I'm not going to get into his finances, but I talked to him at length about the lease and this, that, and the other thing, and I got a pretty good idea what's up. So we're going to talk about taxes, we're going to talk about some numbers, and we're going to talk about why I keep telling you guys get control of your finances, because this ain't no free ride, but it's a pretty good one. Had to run by the bank first, and she sat there and asked me, how do you want this? I was like, well, I'm thinking I want cash, but my sarcastic nature came out. She said, how do I want this? And my first thought was, well, I need about 15 rolls of nickels, and surprise me with the rest. My suggestion was widely discarded, and I got 20s. So before we get too far into it, I'm going to tell you what I say every year. Pay your quarterlies. Don't put them off. It's easier to come up with $5,000 every 3 months than it is $25,000 at the end of the year. You're like, well, if I spend that money, I'm not going to be able to make my house payment. Well, if you don't spend that money, you're going to lose your house and your car. So you got to figure out something to do. The government's a greedy pimp. I've said it before. They want their money, they don't care. So pay your quarterlies. About 9% is fair to put aside to pay at the end of the year, and that way you can figure out how to do it. Now look, I'm not an accountant, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a tax lawyer, but I do know this. Taxes have become so easy the last couple of years, especially you company guys, that you can do them for free online without using any service and have the money in your bank account in several days if you're getting a refund. It's that easy. You don't have to pay anybody to do it. Now, these big chain tax people, you see them on TV, look, these are not tax accountants, guys. These are money lending services that do taxes. Don't fall for it, because it's a ripoff, and if you get the rapid refund, you can lose. I know people that would rather get a little now, and they'll lose $1,000, $1,500 because they want the money now, instead of waiting for that 2 weeks for it to show up in their account because they didn't want to. Guys, get yourself a real tax account. Well, got my taxes just dropped off, and had to come up to the town of Hayesville, and this is one of those towns I absolutely hate. Ever since I was a kid, I've hated this town. Well, made it home, so I need to get my stuff out here and get my paperwork out, and we'll go over some numbers. Now, before we go, I'm not going to bash anybody over this. Whether you lease a truck, own a truck, company driver, and all that. I understand that times are tight and money is hard. Life happens. We all have to make money. And I get that. Trust me, I get that more than you realize. And I want to make that very clear up front, that this isn't an affront to any of these drivers out here, because everybody's out here trying to do their best to make it, you know, everybody's trying to make it. So let's go over a few things. I got to clean my table off. I got a Winchester sitting here for some reason. It's my deer rifle. One of these days I'm hoping to get a deer, other than, you know, without having to resort to hitting with my semi-truck. So, gotten two that way. Now, I've already given you my pay your quarterly speech, but I got my itemization sheet right here. I'm not going to tell you what I made or the average or all that. I made really good money this year. The fuel surcharge was off the hook. That's part of why the fuel was high, but that's part of why I made so much money. This is why I keep telling people, you need to get your fuel surcharge. I spent $87,619.10 on fuel alone. And I made more money this year than I've ever made. That ought to tell you how out of whack it really is. That's why I keep telling you guys, you need to get your fuel surcharge. Why are you blacking out? But yeah, so get your fuel surcharge. So let's get back to my friend, and we'll start there. So my friend posts on Facebook something about he made, in 3.5 months as an owner or a lease operator, he made what did he say, $58,000. So that's 14 weeks. I broke it down. So in 14 weeks, he made, basically he averaged about a little over $4,000 a week. It's good money. Now, it would be good money if he wasn't paying $1,200 a week for the truck, and he wasn't paying $1,500 a week for fuel. Now, that's what they want these lease drivers to do. More miles equals more money. Yeah, but more miles also equals more expense. And you really don't build on that. So let's get to 41, 42, 85. Whoops. Clear. So, see, 41, 42, 85 was the average of 58,000 over 14 weeks. So if we subtract, let's just do a flat even, 1,100 a month or 1,100 a week equals. So now you're down to $3,042.85. All right. So we'll subtract another. It's about, you're going to spend anywhere between $1,100 and $1,500 a week on fuel. So let's subtract 1,500. Well, let's subtract 1,300 minus. So now you're down to $1,742.85 a week, and everything has to come out of that. Real life happens. So you can literally take that, divide that in half. Divide that by 2. You're bringing home $871 a week. Then you got to take your taxes out of all that. So we'll times that by, we'll just take 9% out. So, yeah. Which is basically taking out $78. So about $795 a week is what you're taking home. Wants to know why he wasn't making any money. That's why. Yeah, that's why I harp against lease programs so much. Because these actually are real numbers. Okay, so I took 89 days off last year. So let's figure that out with the fuel. This is another reason I tell you guys you need good fuel cards, especially you owner-operators. If your company's not supplying it, or they're taking your refund, or they're not giving you the full surcharge, get your own card. If you're an owner-operator, you can do that. Now, you'll have to send them the receipts if they do all the fuel tax reporting. But it's your money. Keep your money. I harp on that, and, you know, there's a lot more options out here, like I've said, than you guys realize. But, so, let's see. But $87,619.10. There's 52 weeks in a year. Well, let's just figure it out by week on the average. It's divided by 52 equals. That's $1,684 a week. Now, mind you, I took almost 90 days off, a full quarter. So let's figure out what this really cost. So basically, I did my math here. Funny as it came out, taking 89 days out, which made 276 days I worked this year. And I didn't fill up every day, but I averaged $2,222.22, which I found really odd. But that's what I averaged a week. Fuel was very expensive this year. So had I worked those other 90 days, I would have made a lot more money, but my expenses would have gone up a lot higher. Had I worked those extra days, I probably would have hit at least $100,000 on fuel. Easily 100,000. So basically, it came out to a little over $316 a day is what I was spending on fuel on the average over 276 days that I was out. So that's why I tell you. Now, especially you lease guys, fuel is the only thing you can really control your cost with. And it sucks, but that is the biggest expense you have. But you need to figure out a balance. And if you're not being treated fairly with it, do your best to pocket as much of that as you can. But, so let's move on to service and repair. Service and repair, you know, and I could add, you know, I bought some tires, some steer tires. So we were looking at over $20,000. The one thing I discovered when I sold my old truck and I bought a new truck was, I thought a warranty would, you know, offset some of this repair cost. It absolutely did not. I spent the same amount of money the next year on the new truck with the warranty as I did with the old truck without the warranty. I spent between $20,000 and $25,000. So you can budget $20,000 in that. So there's some more of that, like with my buddy, there's some more of that came out. So out of that, you know, that's why I took that, that's why I split that weekly pay in half, because half of that's going towards maintenance and other things. Now, I had to buy additives, you know, fuel system cleaner, anti-gel, things of that nature. I spent right at $500 on those. Now with my fuel, that's what the DEF included, and all the charges and fuel, you know, card charges and all that. I didn't have an accurate count of that this year because we switched to EFS, you know, at the beginning of this year. So supposedly it's not going to cost me as much, but we went from COM data to EFS. But now as a owner operator, I do get charged a shag charge every now and then. That was $254. And sometimes I get charged to write checks. COM data checks are expensive. So are EFS checks. They run about $10 a piece. And then I bought a Best Pass. That was $350 down. So now let's talk about the next one that gets everybody in trouble. If you're going to get audited, this will do it. And that's per diem. As a company driver, you know, you're not going to meet the standardized deduction, so you can't claim per diem anymore. If your company pays you per diem, you're still getting screwed. It's a double whammy on the drivers, truthfully. It does make things easier in the long run, but I don't think the companies should be paying you per diem, especially if you can't collect it. They're hitting on their taxes and they're screwing you on yours. But that being said, as an owner-operator and a lease driver, you know, you could charge up to, what is it, $58 a day, $62 now. I'd have to look it up. And you can claim 80% of that. But this is where people get in trouble. They try to claim all the days. They try to claim. So for 276 days out, I claimed, I bumped it up $4 a day, $5 a day to $50 a day now. So let's see, let's see, 276 days out times 50 equals $13,800. You can write that off, but you can only write off 80% of that. If you don't believe me, consult your tax accountant. You can't write it all off. So divide that by, oh, no, wait, times that by 80%. That leaves you $11,040 you can actually write off on your taxes. Now, your standardized deductions are one of those things. Back when I was a company driver, you could still write off standardized deductions because I could always exceed it. That's why I used to tell people don't go to these chain tax stores, because you can get more money back by itemizing even as a company driver. Now, I know the standardized deduction went up. I know I have more than exceeded and met it. But if the companies would pay you the per diem, and then you could have at least $2,000 to $3,000 more dollars in write-offs, you could actually exceed that standardized deduction and be able to itemize. People say you can't itemize. If you can exceed the standardized deduction, you can, but most people can't, especially company drivers. There towards the end as a company driver, I was lucky to get $7,000 in write-offs, and a good chunk of that was per diem. But with the company paying me per diem, it made it really hard, and my refunds started getting smaller and smaller. So that's one of those deals that, you, like I said, per diem will get you audited faster than anything. So always consult your tax advisor or your accountant about per diem if you're going to do it, and make sure you do it right. So let's get on to some of the extraneous stuff. I found an interesting book at the surplus store the other day. It's definitely worth the read. Yeah. All the extraneous stuff you have to, take into account. And they're not big numbers, but little numbers do end up making big numbers. Like, look, I get a shower every day. I don't care. The showers I paid for $77 worth of showers over the whole year. Most of the time I got them free through my fuel card and all that. I spent on truck parts, I spent $714.57. Little things, floor mats, and little knobs, pressure valves, stuff like that. I really didn't have any real big repairs this year, which I'm really happy about. Truck washing, which is basically maintenance. Believe it or not, I only washed a truck about maybe 8 times last year, and it's still $739.80. I would have liked to have washed it a lot more, but I kept running into crap weather. Truck supplies, $290. Now, I spent $256.63 in tolls, but then I bought a Best Pass for $350, and it just deducts it, and then when it gets to a certain level, it'll pull it off my credit card and put it right back on the card. So I'll have to go through my credit card statements every time that happens, rather than just paying toll tickets. But truthfully, they send me a statement every month, tell me what I spent, and it's great. The only thing that sucks was I had to get the whole premium package Best Pass, because all I really needed was Kansas and Illinois, and I had to get everything. I had to get the Elite Pass just because that was the only way to do those 2 states. Because I was just going to get a K-tag and an I-Pass for Illinois, because the I-Pass will cover Indiana and the K-tag will cover Oklahoma. But it ended up just being a calamity, and so now I can go to New York, which I probably will never do. But it does work on all of them. So, now here's another one, your road tax. When you pay your fuel tax and your road tax comes out, on your after reporting, you're either going to be plus or negative. And everybody tries to that's why your fuel routing is always so screwy, especially you company drivers. Why they want you to get 60 gallons here and 40 gallons here and 30 gallons here and fill up here is because they're busy trying to get the road tax as close to zero as possible. They don't want to owe. They don't want to pay back. They don't want a refund. They want it as close to zero. And this last year was so screwy that I actually ended up paying $235.42 over the whole year, which truthfully is not bad. One year I actually got it close enough. I think I only paid $16 that whole year. Now, one of the other things that you're going to pay is insurance, and that's where a lot of you guys get got. Insurance is expensive, especially if you're buying it yourself. You're running your own numbers. You're buying it yourself and all that. It can run very, very pricey. Now, part of the thing that I really didn't add, I did it on an average in the 1100. But a lot of those guys, when they pay their insurance, those lease drivers, are either doing it mileage-wise or they're paying flat rate out the door, and they're paying full price. I got a really good rate through the company I have my truck leased on with. And it's $290 $1,000, I think it is, which is good. So, but a lot of guys I know are paying, especially first timers, they're paying $7, $8, $9, $1,000 a month for their insurance. And for the first year, it is really tough. But a lot of these lease drivers are paying $400 and $500, a month for their insurance. And it gets very expensive. So that all has to come out with that. But I ended up paying for my truck insurance a little over $2,500 this year. It's a good rate. I mean, I get a good rate. I have a good driving record. And I work for a good company that has an established history. So we get good rates to the company. Now, what's funny is this is the same company I was with at my last job. And so pretty much, when we changed the numbers, we just made a phone call to basically the same guy and said, do this. And boom, I was covered like that. So, yeah. Now, there was some hotel bills, $148. And my license plate, South Dakota, is very expensive. It's well over $2,000. But, and then I paid $1,433 in steer tires and, all the extraneous stuff. Now, I did buy an APU last year, and that was right at $6,000. So you can see how these costs and everything add up. And this is why I like doing this at the end of the year every year, to show you guys actual numbers and how things have changed. My fuel has gone up at least a good $12,000 to $13,000. That's not a joke. Fuel got really expensive. Truthfully, I don't have any depreciation this year. I paid my quarterlies. I sent them a good chunk. I'm probably going to have to send them another good chunk. But, it is what it is. Now, here's another thing they'll get you on: scales. I spent $867.50 at scales. So, I've been thinking about getting a right way for the truck. A lot of the new trailers we have are starting to have the right way boxes on the trailers, and I'm starting to think, I get a right way on the truck, and that might not actually be a bad deal. So that's something that I've been looking into, and I might explore later on this year when it starts getting a little warmer. So, yeah, it's I spent a lot on scales, And even if I spend $1,000 on the right way system, which is probably not that much, I'd have to look it up. It's going to save me time. It'll pay for itself the first year, because there's a lot of these loads I knew I wasn't crossing a scale. I knew it was heavy. You wouldn't believe. This is part of why I don't like going out of Minnesota, is because it seems like every time I load up in the Twin Cities, I'm always 83 to 85. So I'm always weaving through the backwoods anyways. But this is why it will save me a lot of time, and time is money. So save you time. I won't have to, hit a CAT scale unless I know it's overweight. Then you have to go get a scale and bring it back. But it's something that I've been looking into. So yeah, there'll be more to come on that, hopefully. Now, before we wrap all of this up, I didn't talk about parking. Parking is one of those things that it's a write-off. Guys, don't complain about it. A lot of you company guys, your company will pay for it. My last company, they paid for parking. All I had to do was turn in the receipt. They didn't mind. A lot of these company guys, they will pay for parking. But it goes back to, you need a place to park. And if you have to pay for it, sometimes you do. Trust me. I've been starting to find a lot more of these off-site places that I can get better parking, better places, better just everything. And, it's where a lot of the big companies don't go. A lot of the stuff that I buy, I do try to buy at Walmarts and stuff like that. I do try to get a deal. Your fluids and stuff like that. When you're home, go to Walmart. And if you got to spend $80 or $90 buying antifreeze and washer fluid and things of that nature, spend the money, because that $90 you spend on all that is about $200 at the truck stop. Yeah, you need the deductions, but you would like to have deductions on your terms. I did as much of that as I could. So, there's a few more things here. Personal things, charitable giving, ATM fees. Your phone, if you use your phone for business, you can write a portion of it off. But, like I said, talk to your tax man. So, as we wind this video up, there's a few takeaways here. Like I said, get yourself an accountant. If you guys are company drivers, none of this stuff's really going to mean much to you. But at the same time, you can do everything these chains can do in half the time for free online. It's self-explanatory, guys. It might take you just a little longer to get your refund back, but, would you rather get $600 back or $1,600 back? It's up to you. One of the takeaways here is also get a very good tax accountant. They are worth their weight. And you might go through one or two of them, but eventually you'll find one you like. I found one I like. She retired. She referred me to another one, and I like this one too. And this one will probably end up retiring here soon, and to find me another one. I keep saying I'm going to do better this year, but I know I won't. But takeaways. Guys, pay your quarterlies. Do everything up and up. And really try to do things right. And if you don't understand what you're doing, get help. It's the tax man. This ain't, you trying to put a puzzle together. A lot of the tax code has changed so much, and it changes every year. That's why I don't talk about too much of the code. You'll have a lot of these old timers telling you can do this and you can do that, and social media is telling you can do this and you can do that. And truthfully, the majority of it is wrong. I'm not even going to lie. The majority of it's wrong. Never get tax advice from social media. Get tax advice from an accountant that does taxes. So, you might pay a little bit, but it's worth the money. Anything with your job that takes time away from making money is costing you money. That's it. So, if doing your taxes is costing you money, pay somebody to do it, because I guarantee you the extra time you'll make that up. Truthfully, had I worked those extra 89 days, I probably would have worked another 45 or 50 of them. I have an idea exactly what I could have done with that money. It would have been really good. My net would have been really good too, and then the tax man would have just come after me with eunuch knives. But make sure, like I said, you just do everything on the up and up, and you do it properly. Taxes aren't anything you really want to play with, but if you got somebody that's going to do your taxes and do it right, I highly recommend hiring a professional. It frees you up, make you some money. I made really good money this year. I could have made better money if I'd really, you know, it sounds funny to say this, but I almost made too much money this year. I didn't have the write-offs. And that's part of why I took a lot of the time off. But truthfully, I saw what I was making, and I took the time off because, truthfully, in this business, you need time off with family and friends. But you need to be in a position to where you can have the time off with family and friends, and that takes time. But it's a lesson that everybody has to learn, and it's a hard lesson, but you do it right, you'll be there. And how do you do it right? Well, you're the one that has to figure that out. I can't tell you how to do it. I gave you my raw numbers. My raw numbers are not your numbers. But it's going to give you an idea of what you need to make and what you need to spend, because these numbers here, these are real numbers. These are not made up numbers. These are real numbers. And that's why I talk to you about them every year, is because these real numbers is what everybody in the industry is going through right now. You can cut some of these out here and there. You're going to have some in more categories, some in less categories. But they're real numbers. So this is what you need to make. Like my buddy, $4,000 a week average. And with the way the company he had his truck leased on with was doing under $1,000 a week. You can do better than that with as a company driver. It's your money. Figure out how to keep more of your money. This is why I do these videos, because I want you guys to be successful. Keep your money. Don't give your money away if you don't have to. And don't let them take your money for frivolous crap. Just be well, guys. I want you guys to be well. And I want you guys to be able to pocket as much of this as you can. So, I appreciate it. Thanks for watching. I hope you guys have a great year this year. And the future's wide open. So, we'll see you next video.